Welcome back, students. This is part two of our five-part series reviewing the first five presidents in our unit, Envisioning a New Nation. In the election of 1796, Vice President Adams and Secretary of State Jefferson went head-to-head in a nasty political fight. By no means as nasty as, say, 2016 Trump versus Clinton, but still, it was mean-spirited. Adams won, and Jefferson became his vice president. Now, Adams faced many of the same challenges as Britain and France fought each other, carved up much of the world, claimed it as colonies of their own. Americans often found themselves stuck in the middle of this fight. At sea, American sailors and merchant seamen were often being kidnapped and forced into service by the British Navy. Like Washington, Adams chose to stay neutral. When Adams sent ambassadors to negotiate with the new French Republic, the French representatives refused to identify themselves and demanded money in order to do business. Americans felt a sense of humiliation that their new nation was not being respected. Many urged Adams to declare war, but like Washington, Adams chose neutrality. Now, as these events in France were unfolding, there was a sense of panic among some of the elite. The spirit of rebellion and revolution was in the air, and some of those in power really feared the people they governed. On the home front, Adams chose to expand the power of the federal government, and he justified doing so by claiming to protect Americans from the threat of the French. You see the little guy there in the corner, with his missing head under the guillotine, right? So in what became the most controversial decision of his presidency, Adams signed what are called the Alien and Sedition Acts. The Alien Acts extended the requirement by which immigrants could become citizens. Critics suspected Adams and the Federalists were preventing new citizens, who would likely vote for the Democratic Republicans, from voting in the first place. The Sedition Acts gave the president the power to arrest and deport individuals for expressing false, scandalous, or malicious writings against the government of the United States. Critics immediately pointed out that this violated people's First Amendment rights to free speech and free press. By signing these laws, Adams may have sealed his fate to become our first one-term president. Interestingly, the main criticism of these laws came in the form of anonymous writings by none other than Thomas Jefferson, who happened to be Adams' vice president, and James Madison, the father of the Constitution. Both were strong supporters of the Bill of Rights. Both would eventually become presidents themselves. But at this point in time, they were operating like secret agents behind the scenes. In the Virginia and Kentucky resolutions, they argued that when the federal government claims power that is not listed in the Constitution, the states do not have to recognize that power. You might remember the cookie dough analogy we used in class. After you've made all your cookies, you had that last bit of dough. Well, that belongs to the people or states, not the federal government. Under this states' rights theory, Jefferson and Madison basically said the states can nullify the Alien and Sedition Acts since they were unconstitutional. In summary, like Washington, Adams chose to flex the muscle of the federal government. Although he continued a policy of neutrality and kept the nation out of war, he feared the government would not survive the criticism that would come if people had the right of free speech and free press. And so he tossed the Bill of Rights out the window. As the election of 1800 neared, the issues that divided Americans had only grown more divisive. Stay tuned for a look at the changes that took place under our third president.